Greetings, 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 good people, and welcome to Cat's Corner One-on-One Live. I'm your host, Risikat Okedeyi, and today we are going to hang out with someone that I've known for quite some time. Listen, I'm having so much fun talking to folks where we have this shared history because it's always fun to commiserate about how we've been, have a little nostalgic walkthrough, and then sort of talk about how amazing they have become. He is a multi-instrumentalist. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. A producer from Detroit. You know how you Detroit folks are. Happy to be from Detroit, currently living in Maryland, and he has done a lot of things that we're going to talk about. So I'd like to bring into the spot the good Zoe. Welcome.
Greetings.
Greetings.
It's early. This is my earliest interview yet. So
are you serious?
Yeah.
Listen. And you look all pep and your step is right, your teeth are white, you're ready to go. You got your little hat on. Boom, boom.
I don't wake up past 8:00 anyway. So I got up around 8. Yeah. Took my shower, brushed my teeth, got all glowy skinned. So I'm good. I'm like, man, I got a fresh face on, man.
Look, I appreciate that, because this is important work that we do here, and it's good that people can see the freshness. So I always start off these shows with a very simple but loaded question. How are you doing today?
That is very simple and loaded. I'm good. It's from everything that's been going on. The bounce back has been incredible. And I will say, and I've said this before, I've had a talk with, my man, tall black guy about this. I had a talk with Fete about this. Like, I'm in a very happy space. I haven't been in this happy of a place as far as making music and creating and being excited about what's coming next than I am right now. So
wow, that's dope.
It's a good place.
So let's talk about that, because I think I know the answer, but why do you think that is?
I think it's because, well, the new album is one reason. The Abstractions album, like, I feel like that's been my best work to date. Teaming up with tall black guy, again, it's like, you reach this point. I was reaching this point when I was making Forefront, where it was kind of feeling like I was plateauing as an artist. And Fontaine and I got on the phone one time and he was like, yo, try collaborating. And I was like, all right. So, I hit up tall black guy because at the time he lived like 20 minutes from me. So
right.
And we got together, and I remember like the first song we ever did was crazy. And it was like, yo, why didn't we do this years ago? But I mean, like everything truly does happen when it's supposed to happen.
Right.
And I just think that was supposed to happen. Like, everything lined up the way it was supposed to. Because now it's like, I feel like even with Abstractions coming out, I feel like we're just beginning. And like anything that I have music wise, score wise, TV wise, like, I'm trying to pull tall black guy in so that, we can continue to work as a production team. And from that, I'm just like, I'm rubbing my hands together, because I'm like, it's really like a just two heads are better than one type of situation, where it's just like, and he'll say it too, like he like, we just don't want to make music solo anymore.
Right.
And it's kind of like, we're kind of feeling like, this is supposed to be done, with somebody, like as a team. And we've kind of hit our stride, and I'm just like, boy, y'all don't
even know.
Yeah, the stuff that came out was dope. Right. Like, even the stuff that didn't come out, I'm just like, man, we ready. Like, and this, it's a guy that matches my energy, work ethic wise and studio ethic wise. It was a perfect match. So I just get excited about that. And then, I mean, me and Taylor, we still working, and that's another one who's just, we don't stop. Like, he'll call me at 3 a.m, like, yo, I got this idea, and then I'm up to receive the call. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got a lot of weapons, and I can't wait to utilize them to the, just to the full potential.
This is one of the times where I think this is the benefit of age. Now that we're a little older, a smidge older, we can see the benefit of collaboration. We can see the benefit of the two heads are better than one, but it's got to be the right head. And I think that's the part that you touched on that's really important, because you and Fonte, your collaborations have always been fire. Like, it's just, it always felt like those two are meant to be together. Mm-hmm. And then when so before the show, I told Zoe that I chose this outfit, which is probably not the correct outfit for how cold it is in here, but the whole Abstractions project takes me back to Winter Music Conference. And for those that remember Winter Music Conference and being in Miami for a week and the vibe that was there, like, it just felt so good. And I was like, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm gonna be cold today, because this album just makes me feel like good, like genuinely good on the inside. And at the same time, it feels fresh. And it's like, it's perfect for where we are right now. So congratulations on the release. Thank you and Tall Black Guy killed it. It's amazeballs. And if you haven't purchased it, which I need to do, I've been listening to it on Spotify, go and buy the album. And we're gonna come back to all of the where to go. But if you're listening on Spotify, head over to Zoe's site, please buy the album and actually all of his stuff. I was going through your site, getting ready for the interview last week. And my CDs are packed up in little boxes all around my house. Mm-hmm. But I found my Tigolo and Zoe. I love it. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I still got a couple copies of that.
That is by far one of my favorite projects to date. Like, in terms of like projects across the board musically, that was such a fun project. And it just reminded me how, in a lot of ways, a lot of what was happening back then was really like light years ahead of everything. And if you got it, you got it. And if you didn't, you kind of missed something. So, and when you think about where you are now, you've done a lot. You've been scoring, doing documentary work, hanging out on shows like Black Dynamite, the animated series. Oh gosh, I just lost it. What's the one? The Sherman, the
Sherman Showcase.
Sherman Showcase, yeah. Which amazeballs. Like, when I watched it, I literally was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. How did they do this? The music was fantastic. So talk me through your decision to expand into scoring.
It really just comes down to, like, as an artist, you can get really, really comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. If it's working for you, if it's, if it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of situation, then have at it. But, I know for my future, like, I don't want to be caught up in the pattern of release album, tour album, create album, that I don't want to be in that. Like, touring now at 42 is so much different than touring at 30. Like, you're standing up on the keyboard. Like, my knees was already bad coming out of college playing baseball. So, they just get beat up and my ankles are getting tired. Like, it's just a whole bunch of just 40-year-old problems that, I just didn't have, 10 years ago. So, to kind of get out of that is like, what can I do to make music here and, bring in money while here? I can, score in my t-shirt and shorts if I want to, which is, that's what I do. So it's like, I'd rather, bring in 3 or 4 scoring jobs a year than go on 3 and 4 tours. Not that, and I don't even think I've even admitted this publicly, but like, I've seen a lot of people say they missed the stage, and, I really don't miss the stage like that right now. Okay. To be honest. And it's only because, we've been doing some type of touring or some type of shows, like going all the way back to 2008.
Right.
And, to have this time to kind of sit still and, be with my daughter and, spend time with her. And, it's been the blessing on the other side of the curse. So, that's kind of the mentality there, like with scoring and doing, TV work is like, you can do your stuff here, mugs be paying on time and they pay well. So it's like, why not try to get more of that? And, also like you're able to expand your palette. Like I would have never done a trap record that we did for, Sherman Showcase if it wasn't for doing music for Sherman Showcase. So it's like it shows you that you're able to do this stuff, and it's just like they give you a list of stuff and you got to do it, and you got to do it well, and it's like, at first it was intimidating. Now it's kind of like, yo, feed me more of that, because I want to see what I can do and what Fonte can do. Like, we were working on the second season, and the stuff they were asking us to do that we were actually kind of nailing, you would never hear us do this stuff.
Right.
Never, ever, ever, ever. Like we did, we doing straight up trap records. We're doing, South African house records. And, it's like, we wouldn't do this otherwise. But now we know we can. So it's like, if we have an artist from South Africa who wants to do a house record, we know we can do that. And actually, bring some respectability to it and keep it, but still keep it us.
How do you move past the intimidation factor?
You just got to do it. There's a lot of things. I don't know. Like you just got to kind of dive head first. I feel like as a student of music, I feel like I can at least bring a respectable outlook to my take on something. Whether if somebody's like, yo, do a country record, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm enough of a student and enough of a musician to where I can kind of bring my own thing to a country record and it still be at least okay, you know what I mean? And if it's not, then it won't see the light of day. So at least you can kind of say you tried. But you just like you really just have to do it. Like even like being an independent artist, like there's really no good time to be like, you know what, I'm going to take this pay cut and I'm going to build my thing from the ground up. And there's really no good time. Like you really just have to do it. And like just have cats like a Fonte, cats like a tall black guy kind of around you, to where it's just like that if you do it, like you have their support, and not only just like morally support, but like creative support. You have their ear. Anything that I'm doing, like I'm sending to Fonte because I trust his ear, and I know that I trust his opinion because I know he's going to give me a solid opinion, with whatever. Like, nah, I ain't really feeling that too much, or I would add that, or that's dope, whatever. Like, you kind of just, I don't know. Like, there's really no.
So you're speaking to this thing that I think we don't talk enough about in the creative space, which is mentorship. The importance of having someone that does what you do. Like I have an advisory committee of people that I go to. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? But they don't necessarily do what I do. They just have other skills that sort of complement. But I think I've always loved the relationship you have with Fonte. It's a bromance that I think needs more exploration, because there is a mutual respect, but there's also this understanding that there is expertise in how Fonte guides you sometimes that you trust. And I think that's something that we don't talk enough about. I'm glad that you have it, because I remember back when we used to do in the artist studio in Rome. It took a minute for Fonte to agree to do it. And he admitted on stage that, Rome had talked, DJ Stylist had talked to him, was like, yo, this would be really great. And he asked a question about what's a song that you people would be surprised that you liked. And it was a Shania Twain song. And he started singing the song. I don't remember the song, but he started singing the song. And people's eyes were like, what is happening right now? And it was such a great moment of transparency. And I was like, yo, I dig that dude for that. Because in the hip hop world, showing up the way he was showing up and then moving into singing and producing the way he's sort of shifted, it took a lot of courage. So I do think the mentorship is key. And I love that you have that.
Yeah, I think it's important, man. It was crazy because while we were doing the second season music for Sherman Showcase, like he and I had a long conversation. I mean, we always have long conversations, but we had a long particular conversation where we were actually on the phone giving each other flowers.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And it was like, I wouldn't say like it was a turning point, like it was, but it was dope because, when you're creating together and when you're doing all this stuff together, like you know, you're always just kind of in work mode. Like when it's, you know, when it's time to work, it's time to work. And it's like, you know, we actually had this conversation where we were just kind of breaking down, like we were asking each other. It was almost like a quality control conversation that turned into, you know, just us, you know, giving each other props to where it's like, you know, so what has it been like, you know, working with me? And, you know, what, you know, like it was literally questions like that. And I was like, man, like this is kind of crazy. And I think that when we had that conversation, it brought us even closer, if that was even possible. Because, you know, now it's kind of like, you know, everything is kind of out in the open. You know, it's just, you know, we like now we can, you know, we know more ins and outs now. And, you know, I know that mutually the respect has always been there. And like, you know, you want to bring your A game to somebody that you respect like that. And you know, I think from that conversation, like our stuff is only going to get better because, you know, now it's just like, yo, like, okay, well, this is where we at. Word up. Okay, well now, you know, let's take it up a little bit more. And from what I've been hearing here lately, that's what's happening.
No, listen, Sherman Showcase in particular threw me like, because each of those songs was original. It's like they didn't exist before the show. And I was like, and the eras, like, listen, I think I called Rome. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, this is amazing. I felt like I was like, is this a song that actually exists? I actually looked up one song. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Spaceship 70s. I was like, let me make sure this isn't a real song, because or like a song from back then, because the way that it was done, I was like, this is amazing. So you all have done a great job, I think, of growing. And I think that's the part that I really appreciate about your journey. And it makes me wonder, because I know you played baseball in college. I know that, you know, you taught, like when I met you, you were teaching music and doing music, you know, and then you made that big leap. When you made that shift, did you think that was it? You were never going back to doing anything but being a full-time musician? Or were you like, let's see if this works?
It was definitely, let's see if this works. Okay. You know, it was a thing where, you know, the school I was teaching at closed down. It's crazy because that, like in August, that'll be 10 years ago, which, you know, time super flies. Damn, allergies, man. But it was scary because it's like, you know, you're teaching and you're still getting a bi-weekly check, and you do music and you get a check
on top of
when you get a check. So, you know, and I knew this back then, and you know, it hasn't been easy. It still isn't easy. Like 10 years later, it still isn't easy. Like you still have to go get it. And that's, you know, one thing that this pandemic has really, really, you know, put the nail in the coffin in is like, you know, you have to go create opportunities, you know, rather than sitting and waiting for them. You know, if you check my store, like the things that I've added to the store, even, you know, just since the pandemic, just mugs and masks and, you know, different shirts and stuff, is like, that wasn't happening before the pandemic. But, you know, when check stops, it's like, you know, you gotta make a way, because rent sure didn't stop. And, you know, bills sure, you know, they sure didn't stop. And, you know, I didn't have anybody that was like, you know, we're gonna pause your rent for a couple months. No, it was like, yeah, we could take about $25 off, but it's like
it's still due on the 5th.
Yeah, like what's $25 when it's 4 digits? Like,
right.
So, you know, you know, it was definitely scary. And like I said, sometimes now, even now, it's still scary, because, you know, you get around that 27th, 28th, and you look like, all right, well, I guess I didn't budget too well this month. You know, but
it feels like it's you now. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is who you are. You've kind of sat firmly in this space. This is what I am. Independent artist doing my thing. Do you ever wonder what being signed would have looked like? Did you ever have hopes of being signed? Was that
no.
Something? Okay.
Only because a lot of the people who I knew were signed were trying to get out of whatever they were signed to.
Right.
So that was never really like an attraction to me. The attraction to me was always, do it yourself, do it your way, do it your own way. And I kind of got that, with the backing of my parents. My father was a doctor, and like he had his own practice that he built, and he was working the long hours, and but he was calling his own shots. And when I said that I wanted to do music full time, and even back when I lived in Michigan the first time, they were like, we got your back 110%. And I was like, shit, if y'all got my back, like,
right.
Ain't nothing nobody else can really tell me right now. Right. So,
the parents, yeah.
Because I mean, even as an artist and as a musician, having your parents behind you is kind of rare. Shoot, having your significant other behind you is rare in some cases.
Yeah.
Especially that, that early on, like I was in my 20s. So it's like, when you're in your 20s, you think, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, like it just all in, you never really see, these different options. I guess they're seeing it kind of now, but back in 2004 when that was happening.
Right.
It kind of gave me a boost, just to have their blessing. It was like, yo, at this point I can really do no wrong.
It's important, I think, because when I remember talking to Wayna and how she had to fight to make that decision. And so whenever I meet Black kids, African kids, global Black kids whose parents like, yeah, go do the art, it's always like, wow, that's impressive, because it takes a lot of parents a ways to get to a point. They're like, okay, so you're actually going to do this, and you're not going to come ask me for money, and you're not going to be homeless. Okay, well, all right, but you have to convince them. So I'm loving that your father and your mother were like, yeah, let's support that. When you think about your relationship with your parents and you think about how you create music, is there a connection there?
Yeah, I think so. Because my parents were always the first, they was the front line of who I was trying to impress. So, that was always a thing. And even when I moved out here to Maryland in 2006, my mom was like, well, now I'm not able to hear everything first, but she still hears it. Like she's still, number one top fan. If I'm releasing something and, in the merch store, like she's placing an order to buy like 4 of them. So, when people tell me, when people ask me for stuff for free, and I'm just like,
my own mama.
Man, my mom ain't. My mama won't even let me give her stuff for free. So, I was like, "Who are you?" So
I love it.
But yeah, I still think that makes a connection. With my father not being here, I still make music for him and try to keep him proud.
Mm-hmm. When I think about, it's interesting. I think we're at the age now where our parents, if they haven't passed, thankfully, and they're still here, they're like in their 60s, 70s, depending on when they had you. And so you're, in your 40s, I think there's a certain level of sense that you get that you just didn't have before. And you can look at your parents and you can see things that you maybe you didn't see. And I wonder for you, as a parent, what is it that you're seeing in your daughter that like you really are excited about, or that maybe reminds you of yourself?
She shares my sense of humor, which I love. So, she and I can just be, I've introduced her to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like she's a huge fan. Like we're almost through the series. Like that's our dinner time show. So we she's probably in there laughing right now, but like, when we're eating and, I'm queuing up HBO Max and we run the Fresh Prince episodes. So she has my sense of humor. She has the creative side as well. Where she sits down and draws faces, and that's what I used to do as a kid. And when I was in college, I was on a full scholarship for baseball. So I couldn't have a job. Like it was against NCAA rules.
Right.
And so for money, like I would do portrait art, to make to make money in college. So to see her doing that, like I'm like, yeah, that's kind of dope. And it's not even anything that I'm like really pushing on her.
Right.
Like I'm just kind of seeing what's what. You know, she's also, you know, very athletic, like, you know, gymnastics is her thing. Which, you know, we're kind of easing her back into now that I guess, you know, things are starting to open up.
Right.
But, you know, just that, and, you know, she's just really super smart, man. And, you know, I love seeing her, you know, I love like just having conversations with her and just hearing her thoughts on different things. And, you know, I just like hearing her talk, period. So and she's probably listening to this and being like, you know, trying to
she's blushing. She's blushing. Listen, when daddy's talking about their daughters, she's blushing. She's loving every minute of it.
But like I love hearing her talk. Like she just makes me proud of her. And she actually on the album she recorded my talk box parts for
she did. Okay.
Yep. So
you got a little studio engineer on your hand.
Yep. She got an engineering credit. I asked her the other day, I was like, what's your favorite song on the album? She was like, The Ride. I was like, why is that? She was like, because I'm on it. I was like, okay.
I love it. So the pandemic comes and you realize, take me back to the moment when you realized that we were going to be sitting still for a minute. And what was that feeling for you?
Oh man. It was probably around, I think it was probably that Wednesday. You know, me and dates are like, I'm kind of like Rain Man on some shit. But it was a Wednesday night, and it was when the NBA started shutting down stuff. And I think Tom Hanks had just got it, or he had just announced it, and you know, one of the NBA players had caught it or announced it or something like that, and they were just like, we're canceling games, and they had canceled South by Southwest. Which was major. And I was just kind of like, you know, we had these shows on the books, and it's like, okay, well, you know, they were talking about a couple weeks, and I'm just like, you know, I don't know. My whole thing was always with shows, I never wanted to have a super spreader event.
Right.
I never wanted to be the one where it was like, you know, I caught COVID at, you know, Zoe and Carmen Rogers show, or you know, I caught COVID at Zoe's listening party. Like I never wanted to be that guy. So, you know, from there, like everything on my schedule started slowly, you know, shutting down. And, you know, from there you kind of go through a low spot.
Yeah.
To where, you know, I was just like, shoot, you know what? The only thing that's really making me happy right now is food. So I'm gonna eat.
Yes.
I'm gonna have me some drinks. I'm gonna drink by my damn self.
Right.
I'm gonna have me an edible or three.
Right.
And, you know, I'm gonna sleep well. And, you know, but you know, you had that time. So I had, you know, about a month and a half of that. And then it's like, okay, now you got to pick yourself up. You know, you got to figure it out.
Right.
Because eating and drinking and edibilizing ain't gonna pay nothing.
Listen, it's not our friends. We all now have to go back and reevaluate our whole lives now because of what we allowed ourselves to do over this year. But when you think about, because I remember it was really hard because I love my house, but I'm not always in it. So for me, working from home was difficult. It just, it really, 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 really sucked. I was like, I'm not built to just this is too much. Even sitting on my porch at some point became insufferable. But you work from home. So did it feel as claustrophobic for you because it's what you're used to?
Not at all.
Okay.
It felt just fine.
Okay.
You know, I started a relationship with DoorDash.
That's another devil that we need to talk about.
Which is also unhealthy. Because I wasn't ordering salads from DoorDash.
Exactly.
Started a relationship with Instacart, which I still use. But like working at home, like this is where we at. So you know, when things started to shut down, me and Tall Black Guy, we had one more string of studio sessions to do. which we filmed and documented, which we'll start kind of bringing out here pretty soon. But we did that, and after that, it was here. And staying away from people, I think a lot of people like that.
It's interesting because
on the low.
Yeah, on the low, but I think it's the fact that you can't go when you want to.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, like
exactly what it is.
I have to say the ability to not, because my calendar at some point just got really empty because it was like I couldn't go anywhere, and it was just school, and I was like, I don't mind this. I have had some of the best sleep in my life during this pandemic. I will say that.
I believe it.
I didn't realize I was that tired. I was like, oh.
I think a lot of us are tired in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Look at that. So the pandemic is happening. You're home. We have an idiot for a president at the time who doesn't believe in it. People getting sick, and we start to see this huge it's social injustice, and the impact of police brutality, and you start to see more artists being vocal about what they're seeing. And I wonder for you, because I follow you on Twitter, I follow you on Instagram, I know that you have thoughts about these things. I wonder for you, do you feel because sometimes I think people put too much pressure on artists to reflect the times. Like, you should be doing something. We can't talk about flowers. We got to talk about this. Right. How do you approach that as a Black man living in this world who understands a lot of these issues as an artist? Do you feel obligated to bring that into your work?
Sometimes, but I kind of take it as just like you're creating. I'm not gonna pressure another artist to speak out if that's not, it's about feeling,
right? And
I want your feelings to be genuine. And with everything going on and the things, and then 2020 and now 2021, where it's just like, we're expecting some type of progress, and I'm talking to my mother, and she's just like, nothing has changed. And when you look at history, and it's like nothing has changed. It's just a different cycle. I'm listening to reading books and things like that on the Tulsa massacre in 100 years ago. And the same reason the Tulsa massacre happened is the same reason that they're mad at Black folks and other minorities now. They're gonna steal our jobs, and they're gonna do this, and they're gonna take over. And it's like, this is really the same. It's the same thing. Yeah. And you would think that, with internet and with all this information, we've got a literal computer in our pockets all the time, that, folks would kind of, wise up a little bit, but it's just not happening, man. And I think that's kind of the frustrating part, not only as an artist, but just, as a Black man. Like, it's just like, this shit isn't progressing at all. Like, are you serious?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a frustrating thing, and it's hard to really go in on the stuff, because sometimes when folks expect you to speak up and then you do speak up, it's like, okay, then they're picking apart what you spoke up on. So it's like, well, damn, okay, well, shit, all right, well. But no one understand that, like, we are having these conversations, and we are putting our money to different places, and making sure that we're donating, even to like spots like the Innocence Project, or things like that, to where it's like, we are trying to be proactive in moving this thing forward too.
This is a really good comment from Juice 065. The pandemic really messed a lot in the music industry. For those of us that love live shows, we suffered in capital letters, and we're still suffering. So I can't imagine being the musician artist. Drea, thank you for that comment. I know you said you don't miss the stage, but for all the live show lovers, they miss you. they miss everything. It has been really, really hard. Do you, based on your landscape, as someone who gets booked to do shows, what do you think is going to happen with that? Like, how does that landscape come back?
Man.
Yeah.
It's kind of a toss-up. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine in Houston a couple days ago, and he was like, yo, man, like, shows, I think they had a Rakim show last week, and he was like, "Yo, it was like chest to chest." I was like, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
He was like, "Not a mask in sight," and I'm like, "I'm not ready for that."
Were they in Atlanta?
No, they was in Houston.
Okay, Houston. You did say Houston. Okay,
yeah, it was in Houston.
Atlanta's not listening either.
I'm not ready for that.
Okay,
I'm definitely ready for, coming back and seeing everybody and having people excited because the thing is like, folks saying like, well, oh man, I missed your show. That hits a little different right now.
Yeah.
So I think that when we do actually go back out and start doing shows again, I think that the energy is going to be unmatched.
Oh, it's gonna be bananas. Yeah.
Everybody's probably just going to be exploding, which will be incredible.
Yes.
But as far as like how to do it or what, I'm not really sure. I don't know. Cause I like, for me, like I kind of see hanging on to this mask for a little while.
Yeah. I'm not even, I don't see myself getting rid of mask wearing, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Even if it's just to keep away, my allergies or keep away colds or, flu season. Like, the fact that I haven't gotten any type of sick for like the last year and a half, like that's been great.
Yes.
Much less with COVID. I don't want to even touch that. I don't want any parts of COVID. Like, but getting sick hinders your productivity to me.
Yes.
So, I'm like, man, I'm 42. I'll have a mask on through my 40s if I have to.
I actually don't see. I remember when I went to China for a business trip years ago, everyone was wearing masks because pollution is an issue. And it was strange to see, but having lived through this pandemic and not having been as sick as sometimes I can get, I was like, wow, there is definitely something to it. And I do think that the question for you all as artists is what makes you feel safe? I've been to a couple of live things now that have been socially distanced, and I'm freaked out when people take their masks off to talk on the microphone, and I'm like, oh my God. And then somebody else comes behind them, and it's like, I'm just start, and I'm not a germaphobe at all. Like it's
made us become conscious though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a germaphobe either, but I'm the same way. And I'm looking like, oh damn, he just gonna talk on that mic right after her, and
not gonna wipe it down.
Yeah, it's like, you take notes of this stuff now. But I don't know. I was thinking of maybe even, going on social media and just being like, what makes you guys feel safe? Like, what would make you guys feel, just kind of scanning who's actually coming to the shows,
right?
And seeing what's what, because I'm kind of thinking of it like, okay, when we load in our instruments, like there's just a lot of just straight touching going on of foreign stuff. So I'm even thinking just on that, and one of what I would kind of say is kind of the bread and butter of our shows is like us meeting and greeting with everybody afterwards. Like that'll have to pull back heavily. We dapping everybody up, we hugging folks, and we're taking pictures all close, and which sucks because it's like some people come to shows
just because of that.
You know what I'm saying? Because they want to holler at you or whatever. So it's like I haven't really gone into depth as to what our shows in the future would look like, just because I don't see it happening really until like the end of this year, or maybe even the top of 2022, which is really crazy. That's pretty much 2 years off of shows,
right?
But again, like I want my people to come and have a good time and feel safe and be able to let loose. Like you can't let loose if you're constantly looking over your shoulder, seeing who's got a mask on. So, I want to make sure that, when we do come together, like it's the best situation possible.
I think that outside is going to be our friend for a while. So I think so too. I think the more we can do outside, the better. When we think about the musical landscape in general, as an independent artist, you've always, and it's interesting because in my world, what you do is my mainstream. It's not, it's independent in the mainstream, but it's my version of mainstream. And so when you're looking at the musical landscape, like what are some of the things that you're seeing trends maybe that excite you? I'm always interested to see what other people are listening to that make music. Like, what are you listening to right now?
Shoot. Every time somebody says that, I catch a blank. I listen to Thundercat. I listen to Lucky Day. I listen to Alex Isley. What have I been running? What
do you listen to Afrobeat music?
Yeah, like hearing that, but I love the feel of it. The feel is very like it's very sunny and it feels good, and it's
Africa is the future.
Oh, absolutely.
So Africa is always the future. Okay. I was wondering, like you talk about, South African house music and how you're learning about that. So I just wondered if there was like if there were artists on the continent that you were like following, because there's some musicality going on over there that I think you would really like. Like Adekunle Gold is one that comes to mind that I think you would totally dig his vibe.
Man, send whatever you feel. Send it to me. I'll check it.
Okay.
I've been on a big DJ Harrison thing here lately too. My man out of Richmond, who's a really talented and multi-instrumentalist, and just trying to pull influences. And me and tall black guy, like he's always sending me stuff to just vibe to, like, check the chords on this, check the progression on this, and like we're just we just it's so
but that makes me wonder, do you listen, are you able, as a multi-instrumentalist and a producer, are you able to just listen to music, or are you always deconstructing it?
Always deconstructing it. Like I can't listen to music and not be like, okay, what sample was that? What is he playing?
Oh man.
Yeah, I can't, like I cannot. Like it's funny going back to like hip hop that I grew up off of and used to listen to and used to love, and hearing it as an adult and hearing it as a musician, and it's like, oh, okay, well, he used these drums, he probably used this drum machine, and he definitely sampled it here, and I can hear the break here, and he definitely started that sample on the snare, and it's all this like super technical stuff that if I'm in the studio with Fonte, like he's like we can have this super technical conversation,
right?
But that's enjoyable to me,
for you. Yes, of course.
That's enjoyable to me, to be able to like recognize that type of stuff and pull out stuff. Now, the only time it's not enjoyable is like when I hear a sample and I know the sample and I can't think of it, or if I hear an original and I'm like, who sampled that? Where's that from? And then it's irking me for like 2 days.
Right.
But I like that's what I enjoy.
And I'm just like, well, I just like the way the beat ride. This is nice. You're like, I don't know about those snares. It's like, it's a whole other thing. No, I get it. I totally get it. I hear you. There's certain things. I think when you're creative, depending on your modality, that happens. That happens to me with events. All I'm looking at is like, yeah, I don't like this entry. I don't like this. I don't like it. I'm a hater in my head. Anywho, I just wonder about that, because even like, having all these DJ friends, I watch them and I'm like, you people don't just enjoy the music, do you? You're just always listening for the other thing and trying to wonder how people did stuff. But can you just enjoy the music? And they're looking at me like, what do you mean? I am enjoying the music. I'm like, you people are sitting here talking over the music, discussing the samples. It's annoying. But I think it's great.
Yeah.
So at 42, you have led this, I think, quite vast life. You've traveled, you've toured, you've gotten a chance to go places and see people and be on stages with folks that you admire. I just wonder sometimes, when you look at your life, what's the part that amazes you the most? Do you ever have moments where you're like, wow, That's kind of dope.
And I knew when you posed this question, when you set it up, I was like, I know this question is coming, and I don't know.
You don't have to.
I can think of a couple.
Okay.
One is just being able to do this full time still.
Okay.
Particularly when the main, our main musical consumption is streaming, which streaming don't pay nothing.
Right.
So, to still be able to do this right now without having to go, grab a job has been amazing. I would say that was number one. Let me think. South Africa was another. Going there with foreign exchange. We went there, and I think it was 2000. It was May of 2014. We went to Johannesburg and Cape Town, and Johannesburg was the most incredible show I've ever been a part of. Period. And they packed a ton of people in this spot called Baseline, and we played everything basically that we knew for like 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
And they were like, "More!"
Man, it was so crazy to see people, singing all the words of "We're on the Move." Like this not even my show,
right?
Singing "We're on the Move," and I'm just sitting there thinking while I'm on keys, just having an out of body experience. Like, yo, this is something that you made in your house. And here we are in Johannesburg, South Africa, and they are going off. And it's, hearing them singing, I Want to Know, like Fonte stopped singing and they sang song. So, and coming out and like, I was telling Tall Black this the other day, I was like, I've never had anyone react like this, coming back out to the crowd. And like, I had 3 people cry. I was like, what? Like I'm not even the most famous person in my house. Like that would be my daughter. So like to see this is like this is unbelievable. So yeah, like that just really showed me, just really put in perspective like how music connects to people. Sometimes you get a reminder every now and then. Somebody will send you a message and be like, I was, down and out. And was in the hospital, or my father passed, or my mother passed, and your song helped me through that process. And it's like you don't think about that when you're creating music. Like you're not making music where it's just like this is called the healing song. It's like
right.
But people take to your art and connect it to, like I always say, the strongest connectors in life is music and scent. Like you smell something, it automatically takes you back to 85. It was like, yo, this was 85, was in the basement and someone was drunk and blah blah blah. And it's like same thing with music. It's like you hear like a Lifelines, and it's like, okay, I remember when I was with so and so, and we had just got together, and so and so. So to be able to make art that connects with people that tough, like that is still overall incredible to me.
Johannesburg is a special kind of place. Like the people there are just, it's a whole, that energy is amazing. And being able to party in Johannesburg requires a lot of stamina.
Yes, it does.
As a Nigerian, that's saying a lot. And their love for music is just, it's really something to witness. It really is something to witness. And I'm glad you got to see that, because I think that we live in a society where, I call us bridge kids, because we remember before the internet and now. And so our approach to social media and the internet is just very different, I think, than the generations that follow us. And I often, I love that, because we grew up in a time where to do what you have done, you would have had to been signed. It would have been very hard for you if you existed as an adult in the time that we lived in to actually do this without being signed. And so when I think about how social media in particular has warped this idea of success, I love that, I'm always asking these deep philosophical questions, because I think it's important for us to celebrate the fact that you get to do what you get to do, and you get to have moments like that. because had you been born just maybe 20 years before, what you would have had to do would have been, who knows what that would have done to your, to your spirit or to your energy around music.
Right. Absolutely. And it probably wouldn't have lasted as long because, they drain you. Like, companies literally drain you. And, when they're done draining you, they kick you to the side and let's bring in the next one. So, and it's funny that you said that. That's really weird because I thought about this like last week.
There are no coincidences, though.
I thought about the same thing like last week. It was like, if I had started, in 84 rather than 2004, it'd have been a totally different thing. I'd have been chasing a deal. And, I know the deal would have been some garbage. And, you put out this music and it's like, it may have been just one album. And then, you go to work and raise a family. So,
right. And you talk about what you used to do as opposed to who you are. And it's like,
right. Yeah. Right.
There was So Bounce posted this article where they looked at the music supervisors from like 8 Black shows, and they were all white people. And because of my producer friends and DJ friends, I do listen to music differently. I'm not nearly as in detailed as you all are, but I do listen to music differently. And I was a bit disappointed because I think one of the shows that was listed was Insecure. And I actually love the music supervision on Insecure. And I was wondering, have you ever thought about music supervision? Is that something
Absolutely. you think? Yeah.
What show would you like? What show or shows would you like to be music supervisor for?
Oh, man. Good question. Snowfall.
You know what? Every time I watch Snowfall, thank you, Fonte, because of him, he kept talking about it so damn much on Twitter. I was like, let me go look at this. And I have to say I'm hooked. Like I had to walk away so I could get stuff done. But yeah.
Snowfall is the best show on TV right now.
It's fantastic.
I started it when I started watching it, maybe 2 months ago. And I just kind of went through everything it's on Hulu if you haven't checked it.
Yeah.
And got caught up, which I'm glad I caught up to this season.
Yeah, I'm not. So no spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers at all. So I'm glad that I caught up to this season and was able to watch it week by week.
Yeah,
kind of really digest because really after the first season, they just kind of put the pedal to the floor and they haven't really missed at all.
The way that they shoot. Like the neighborhood, like there's a way that they're those palm trees and it's mind blowing. And then the lead actor, that little boy is amazing.
Oh yeah, no, he's killing.
It's really good. Like it's really, really good. Yeah. And I watch that show and I think about you guys. Yeah, and I'm like, I feel like this would be a show that Zoe would be good for music on. So I just wondered.
Yeah, and they're killing it with the music.
Yeah,
but
they are.
I would like to also not only implement, that older music, the 80s music that they're doing, especially with the electro stuff that they're doing because it's set in LA.
Yeah.
I would also like to make that music and do it, that way, we ain't got to worry about licensing. Like we can just come through and
that's it.
And yeah, you can license me and we good.
All right, Snowfall. I know there's only 10 of y'all or 12 of y'all watching, but y'all need to tag Snowfall and tell them that they need to bring y'all in. Because I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, actually, music by myself and Fonte and Tall Black Guy on Snowfall.
That would be sick.
On Snowfall? What? Ooh. Crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be pretty. I mean, they do a good job. And the other piece that I like about it is that I think that as a East Coaster, we don't, and even I think in mainstream music, the West Coast music doesn't get as much of the palette's different. And so you don't learn as much. And so I don't know if what they're doing, specifically speaks to the West Coast, but there are things that I have never heard before. And I was like, wow, this is really dope. So I feel like I'm learning as I'm watching.
What's interesting about that part is being from Detroit, we always had a direct line to the West Coast because of music, Detroit funk, West Coast, just the fact that, Cali connected with groups like Zapp and Roger Troutman and things like that. That's what we were running. Like we were running that stuff and even West Coast hip hop, like Detroit radio played a lot of Quick, a lot of E40, a lot of, you know, a lot of California artists really hit with us because of that, and as a result, like a lot of Detroit artists started coming up, you know, sampling Funkadelic and sampling you know, old Zap records, because that's what we connected with. So like hearing a lot of that stuff kind of reminds me of growing up, you know, in the Detroit area, because it's like, yo, we used to hear this song all the time, and you know, the electro stuff and like, you know, all that, because I mean, you know, we're the home of techno, so it's like that electro stuff and techno is, you know, kind of hand in hand.
So this has been, I'm looking at the times, I'm trying to be better, but I keep sucking. I'm like, I'm only going to go this far, and I just go too far. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do want to talk a little bit more about Abstractions before we go, because that's out now. And I want to make sure that people know they can go to zo35.com to buy it. And, you know, the description has all the details in it if you're looking to buy the music, and asking you to share it. What was your favorite track to produce on that particular album?
Oh, good question. Probably Talking to Myself, I think, because and we've been saying this, you know, to each other and just in different interviews, it's like Abstractions is a result of a true collaboration, which is what we wanted. It doesn't always happen like that when you do, you know, collab with people, but with this one it is, because a song like Talking to Myself wouldn't have happened if it was just me. It wouldn't have happened if it was just, you know, Tall Black Guy. It may not even happen if we weren't in the same room. It was that much. But you know, it was a thing where you know, we're listening to stuff to kind of get inspired, and you know, I come up with some chords, and from those chords he comes up with a drum pattern, and you know, we kind of lock in there, and then you know, we're just kind of building up from there. It's like, you know, he's like, yo, I hear snaps here, and I hear, you know, the synth line here, so he'll play that. I'm like, I hear this here, and you know, I play that, and like we were literally bouncing up back and forth off of each other. And the dope part about it is my man Donnie Seals from Digifay, who did the Making Skybreak documentary, was here to record all of it. So he recorded us making Talking to Myself from top to bottom. And it was crazy with us watching it back, and we was like, I don't remember none of this. Like I remembered us doing the snaps. Like 90% of that video we didn't even remember, which lets me know like we were just zoning. We were zoned out. And you know, like I said, like that's another, you know, to have a musical connection with someone like a Fonte, like that's rare to me. To make another musical connection with Tall Black Guy, like that's
like two soulmates, man. That's a lot.
It absolutely is. And I say that Fonte is my musical soulmate, and the same with, you know, now with Tall Black Guys, like, you know, this was supposed to happen, and I think Talking to Myself is like the pinnacle of this was supposed to happen.
How do you decide when the song is done when you're collaborating with someone else? Like, what's the mutual stop point?
I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that you just kind of go off a feeling. And you know, during the pandemic, you know, now that Tall Black is now in Cleveland, and you know, I'm here in Silver Spring, you know, we'll still pass stuff back and forth. So like, you know, for example, with the Carlito Durand record, the I Guess record, you know, he sends me drums, you know, I play on top of that, send it back to him. You know, he may add something else to it, or he'll, you know, with Tall Black is usually like, well, shoot, let me get the drums straight. Like, let me do this and that. And he'll, you know, add some drops, and you know, maybe send it back to me. I may add one more thing.
Right.
And like, yo, this is a final for me. If you good with it, and you know, if he's good with it, then we're done. If not, you know, we add on. You know, I hear something else here. Like it's just kind of, music is feeling. So it's like if it's a feeling of finality, then you know, that's where we at.
All right. That that is where we're going to end this because I'm not going to ask any more questions. We got other things to do. Thank you so much for hanging out. Like, this has been such a blessing. I really, really appreciate you.
We should do an abstractions joint. We should.
Oh no, I definitely think we should do an abstractions joint. And I have an idea that I'm going to pitch to you offline that I think, if I can make this work, might be a fun way to see about some things. Thank you all for it just hit me. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I may have something. All right. So thank you all for listening, for asking questions. You all are awesome. Please remember, I'm trying to grow my little YouTube page, So if y'all could hit your girl up with a subscribe, that would be fantastic. I'm not nearly as fancy as my guests when it comes to the videos, but we're getting there little by little. Appreciate you all for checking us out. Next week, we'll be back again at 10 a.m. Until then, we're out because this culture ain't going to make itself. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank y'all for listening.